again, it's fitting that here we are on January 6th. Now, this was yesterday, but here we are on January 6th, and I'm playing this clip of Matt Gaetz nominating the former president of the United States who tried to attempt to coup of our government and overthrow our vote and trash our Constitution. And here he is on the floor with the power of the Constitution nominating Donald Trump as Speaker of the House. Let's listen to this final word. The reason why this is important that he nominated Trump on the floor, because he voted for him first in the other category. And then in the next vote, he nominated him there.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, and you put him in dishonorable mention. The problem is our dishonorable mention of the week, Donald Trump only received one vote.
Yeah, he lost another election.
Well, he lost two of them, right?
Well, I guess, was it 3? I'm trying to remember. Because he was voted, he got a vote other.
Yeah, I think Matt Gaetz voted for him other twice.
Right. And then got the official. So he lost 3 times. I mean, from the very beginning, from the very first suggestion that he was in an other column, I was like, Donald Trump lost another election. Like, that's all you needed to know for the rest of the day. Even if he was officially nominated or not, he actually lost another election, which is hilarious. And I think a huge ego dig at him, despite him trying to like post memes on True Social and be like, he lost multiple times yesterday, which means that he has lost multiple elections outside of the popular vote in 2016, the popular vote and the electoral vote in 2020.
Well, he lost the 2018 midterms. He lost 2022
exactly
midterms.
And the 2022 midterms. He's like, well, if they lose it, it's their fault. If they win, I get the credit. And not only that, but then he also lost states again and again and again when legal teams tried to present any evidence of voter fraud. And even Trump judges said, okay, where's the proof? And then you got people like Rudy Giuliani said, well, we don't got proof. We don't have evidence. We have theories.
Right.
We have these ideas.
Well, here's a great idea. Matt Gaetz stands up and votes for him. Here's the moment where Matt Gaetz stands up to give his name vote on the House floor. And
full name, too. Says the full name.
This is great. Let's listen.
Gaetz. Trump.
Donald John Trump. Now, again, I want to remind the audience, his name is not Gaetz. You do not, that is not how you spell Gaetz. That is why I call him Gaetz. And for the main reason why is I'm intentionally saying his name the way he doesn't want me to say it, in hopes that one day he'll hear me say it and it will piss him off. For that reason alone, I continue to call him Gaetz. It's not Gaetz. But there he is. He's voting for Donald John Trump.
And the biggest thing that I want to bring up too about his claim is like, we are pro-veteran, right? We did all these things. Why can't we do, we were able to do so much for, as a Republican Party and stuff. Keep in mind that one, Trump is the person who on Veterans Day said, yeah, let's get those people out, right? He had we learned during the January 6th hearings, I think it was on day 9, in October, we learned that Donald Trump on Veterans Day issued an order to get soldiers out of Afghanistan and I think it was Syria as well, and didn't even keep in the thought or consideration of what the next guy, because he even admitted, he's like, it's not my problem, it's the next guy's problem, which is Joe Biden, right? And we learned that the memo and different military officials who came forward and said, oh yeah, we told him not to do that. And we told him it would be a mess, but he's the president. And he went forward to actually pull them out of those areas without any plan whatsoever. And then you have Republicans during the State of the Union. You've got Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're having their you lie moment and trying to say, you don't care about the veterans, you don't care about the people from the burn pits. And then 2-3 days later, they vote against the healthcare bill that would have protected these veterans who had actual health problems from these burn pits, right? So these Republicans do not care about veterans. They claim that they're pro-veteran, pro-America, pro-gun, all this bullshit. But when it really comes down to it in the legislation, they will vote again and again and again against the veterans of this country, against the people that they continue to say, oh, thank you for your service. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Well, that's great and all, but they don't do anything to actually help the people that they, thank. And they just give them a big middle finger and they say, good luck at the VA office, which, isn't great and needs more resources and doesn't have the actual budget to actually help veterans.
Well, the other reason why Donald John Trump made it on the dishonorable mention, do you remember the news this week? It kind of got buried that it seems as if Jack Smith...
Defamation?
Oh. Well, no. Well, that too. But Jack Smith, again, it's January 6th. It's the second year of the anniversary of the January 6th Cheeto Dust Kangaroo coup, the violent insurrection that the former president, Donald John Trump so incited at the Ellipse. Now, there was some news from Kyle Cheney this morning, which I think is worth mentioning in this space, because he says, watch this space. Kyle Cheney says this. In the past 48 hours, not one, not two, but 3 secret grand jury court battles have landed before the federal appeals court in D.C. Do I know these are January 6th / Trump related? ? No. But they have hallmarks of a similar secret court fight that occurred in October. So it looks like not only is Jack Smith preparing to present charges before a grand jury, but there's been 3 secret grand jury court battles in the federal appeals court in D.C., which is significant. And you can go read. I'm gonna retweet this, so you can go read this thread, because he talks about why he thinks that this may be related because of the hallmarks that were in the October case. But it appears, Gabe Sanchez, that Jack Smith is going to make his move. He's going to move on him like a bitch, as someone might say. I don't know.
Someone might say. I don't know.
Oh, so thank you, Donald John Trump.
Donald John Trump,
for being our dishonorable mention of this week, really dishonorable mention of the century. But who's counting? Actually, we're counting. We're counting your vote. Well, and the votes on the floor. There's all kinds of votes going on.
There's a lot of votes.
But here's the thing. He did win this week in one poll.
That is true.
He did win this week in one poll. So technically, he is 1-12 because you, the audience, voted Kevin McCarthy as Bonehead of the Week. Kevin McCarthy, you have won Bonehead of the Week in true Bonehead fashion. Gabe Sanchez, let's give him his due. Oh, Kevin McCarthy, you are the Bonehead of the Week. Thank you, everyone, for voting for Bonehead of the Week this week. Every single Friday, you will find Bonehead of the Week on the Tony Michaels podcast and a clip on the MeidasTouch network. Don't forget to subscribe here on YouTube at the Tony Michaels podcast. If you're on the MeidasTouch network, come on over to the Tony Michaels podcast. We broadcast live every single weekday, Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, 11 Central, 9 Pacific on YouTube. If you're on the MeidasTouch network right now, hit the subscribe button. Also, download every single episode of our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Google. And make sure to follow us on Twitter at Tony Michaels Pod. That's where you vote Gabe Sanchez for Bonehead of the Week on Twitter at Tony Michaels Pod. Or, again, you subscribe to the Tony Michaels podcast. Go to the community tab. The poll will be there every single week on Thursday, and we will be here every single week on Friday in the second hour of the Tony Michaels podcast for Bonehead of the Week. Everyone, if you're watching the live show, stick around. We have a few announcements. That's been your edition, Bonehead of the Week. Thanks, Kevin.